Welcome to Talking Giants, presented by DraftKings. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Panic. Free agency has begun. Free agency has begun. Got a little bit to get to, not a lot to get to. The Giants on day one so far, recording at 10:30. Now that we have kicked off the show, I am now hoping for no news until Tuesday. The Giants have signed Devontae Booker, and they brought back Austin Johnson. Those are their first day one moves. We'll get into all that. Justin, how are you?
Well, it's day one. To start off the show, we'll start off with my favorite take of let's wait and see. That's the hopeful energy that I have. But besides that, the anxiety that was present post press conference, the anxiety that was present on Thursday's show, kind of like, what are we going to do? Time is kind of running out. And then we kind of planned on recording an episode on Sunday, Bobby, because we thought that there would be more updates, but it turns out that Sunday and Sunday evening, we knew just as much about what the Giants kind of had planned as much as we knew on Thursday. So still like anxious, just day one, hoping for more. Guys are flying off the market. How are you?
I told myself I wasn't going to expect Kenny Galladay or like get my hopes up on it. Like, he's definitely, I want him, but it's like, now, I don't want to spend too much time on Galladay because something, by the time people are listening to this, there's a good chance where he's going. But I am now staking all my hopes and dreams on Kenny Galladay. I don't care if that's unrealistic or what, but I want him so bad, and it seems like it's down to us in Miami right now.
A couple days ago, and I might have even said it on here, but I tweeted out, I expect the smart and savvy moves. I'm not expecting the big splash. But then even just looking at the free agent market itself, I mean, yes, I guess Corey Davis getting the deal that he got with the Jets, that's kind of like a smart and savvy move. But the rest of the moves that have kind of been made, that is at least reasonable, right? That is at least reasonable that we would think the Giants guys that they would go after, like Leonard Floyd, for example, that's a guy that's been tied to the Giants. I know, Bobby, I'm kind of jumping subject here, but that's a guy that's been tied to the Giants for years, since Jerry Reese wanted him, and the Chicago Bears actually jumped the Giants, traded up one spot ahead of them to draft them, because everybody knew that Jerry Reese loved Leonard Floyd. Well, he got an insane amount of money today. Nelson Aguilar is getting more. It has a higher AAV than Corey Davis, at least for the next 2 years, which is crazy. We were thinking that Nelson Aguilar could be like a mid-tier guy that maybe the Giants could go after if everything else failed, not a day one acquisition. So the way that things are going in free agency right now, I feel like they're a little strange, where last year it was kind of a little bit more spread out, maybe, where now I think you look at the market, at least on the offensive side of the ball, and at least at the premier positions on defense, like edge rusher, we're like, yikes right now, right?
No, at Kenny Galladay, the number was supposed to be at 20 mil, and it looks like it could be like 18, 17, 16.
Right, but so besides Kenny Galladay, like looking at just what are the Giants' options after day one besides Galladay?
I feel good, man, because I feel like the contracts aren't coming in too high. I think they're all like the edge we'll talk about with Leonard Williams. I thought those were all pretty reasonable deals, so I'm actually feeling good about the market as a whole. Who are some other things I'm feeling good about? I'm feeling good about Robert Sipper. He's sipping on some scissor. Ken Byrne. Do you know his brother Bill Burr and his cousin Ken Bone?
Byrne or Burr? Who did you just say?
Burr. Who would be Bill Byrne be?
I'm a big Bill Burr fan.
I think most people are. And I'm not the biggest stand-up guy, but I'm a big Bill Burr fan. So shout out Ken to your brother.
Do you watch the show? F is for Family?
I'm not a big fan of the show, but I haven't watched it. I've only watched like 4 episodes, but I like him as a stand-up. We got Michael J. Goodman. He just sounds like a 1990s boy band. Michael J. Goodman.
Okay.
And then Ben Rollo. It's either Rollo or Rollo. I'm going to go with Rollo. Arroyo.
I am sipping on some orange juice at 10:34 p.m. sitting on the dock of the bay.
Who are these people, Justin?
They went to patreon.com/talkinggiants, and we even had some new people in our Patreon stream tonight, which is awesome. Giants are starting to make some free agent moves. There's no other place where you want to be. Patreon.com/talkinggiants, $2 a month. Bobby sends you some stickers. He may even send you a magnet, not stickers. I always get that mixed up. Bobby will send you a magnet. You get entered into some shirt raffles. You get to hang out with us as we record the shows live. Patreon.com/talkinggiants.
Let me check Twitter one more time before we get into it.
I don't think you realized you muted yourself to start a sentence.
Did I really?
Yeah, let me check Twitter, mute. That's literally what you did.
Oh, I was checking Twitter, making sure we didn't miss anything. All right, so let's start with Devontae Booker, since he is the new addition. With Austin Johnson. I think that's an important signing, and I think it signals some stuff with Dalvin Tomlinson. But Devontae Booker is the new player. Justin, do you want to talk about player or contract first with Devontae Booker?
Contract.
Okay, so he's 28. He's going to be turning 29 when the season starts. Right now, we don't know the details of it, so it's hard to get too, passionate about it one way or the other. But right now, it's a 2-year, $6 million deal. Now, with the way contracts are, we just saw Taysom Hill get a $140 million contract. I would assume that this is a very incentive-laden contract. I would assume that. It makes sense.
What was his salary last year, Bobby?
$910,000. And that is where I don't like it. Is one, we are in day one. You don't like. I've always been with Saquon on the team. You should spend the bare minimum on your backup running back. And people are like, well, then you get a guy like Alfred Morris. Look at Alfred Morris as a backup. He did pretty decent. Alfred Morris was a pretty decent backup running back. And the issue is so if he ends up, say this is an incentive base and he gets paid $1 million a year, and probably no dead cap in year 2, and it gets cut or whatever, $1 million a year. So it works out. But where I don't like it, Justin, is I think we should set ourselves up to where we don't give our backup running back that option. Say Saquon does go down, God forbid, next year. Now we are paying our running back an extra $2 million. I just think that's a spot where we shouldn't be spending money. It's not like last year. Like Dion Lewis is we had money to spend. It didn't stop us from doing anything. It was the end of free agency. Where this year it doesn't make that a ton of sense to me, especially for a guy like Devontae Booker, who, it's not like Devontae Booker is the backup running back we're all looking for, even though I do like him.
It's actually strange. I didn't recognize the ESPN reporter that first reported it. So on Twitter, there has been such a problem of fake accounts reporting fake news. That, it's been a problem. And people at this point, they're doing it for jokes, and they're doing it just for whatever. They're doing it because people know that they get upset. So Bobby, there was a solid 2 minutes where I was like, I'm hoping this is a joke. I'm hoping this is just a random account. And I had a check mark next to it, but that's so where the Giants are right now post day one. And again, so many things could change. The Giants could go out, they could find a way to restructure Leonard Williams. They could find a way to get Kenny Galladay. And then Bobby and I are having a podcast tomorrow night where we're celebrating and we're like, whoo, yeehaw, woohoo. But right now, day one, where I'm at with the Giants is not necessarily the players that they're choosing to bring in, but it's the fact that we are over and over again investing decent money in depth players. That's the thing. It's not that, I hate Devontae Booker as a player. I don't think he fits.
I like him better than Gallman, but it's just, I don't get. I agree with what you're saying.
And if you are a person, and I feel like sometimes this is the same person. If you are a person that says, and this is almost to Bobby's point, the Giants need to go all in around Saquon Barkley, all in for Saquon Barkley. They need to shape this team around the running back, which I think is a flawed approach in today's NFL because it is a passing league. But you can incorporate Saquon Barkley into the passing game. So sure, let's go all in for Saquon Barkley. Let's form the offense around him. Offensive line, pass concepts. Yes. But then also, I could hear people in the same breath go, Well, I'm not sure if Saquon Barkley is going to suit up for 16 games. So we need to spend money on a backup running back. It's like you can't be half pregnant. You can't. If you want this football team to be shaped around Saquon Barkley, it's got to be shaped around Saquon Barkley. And in a way, I would rather die trying doing that than trying to put a Band-Aid on with a backup running back, a 29-year-old backup running back. And this is another flaw at which the Giants, and this is even with Dave Gettleman, the Giants have not done. The Giants under Dave Gettleman, and they drafted Wayne Gallman, and clearly the Shermer coaching staff did not like Wayne Gallman. And even the beginning of the Judge tenure did not like Wayne Gallman, because remember, it was Freeman that was signed. It was Dion Lewis that was getting carries, and it wasn't until
He wasn't
Devonta
even
Freeman.
active week 2.
It wasn't even until Devonta Freeman got hurt, and then Dion Lewis started fumbling the ball a little bit. Then Wayne Gallman got carries. So we had years of Wayne Gallman as Saquon Barkley's backup, and I put that in quotes, even though he was clearly not liked within the organization or within the coaching staff, 2 coaching staffs, and we did not do anything in terms of trying to draft a backup running back, where guess what, Bobby? You have that backup running back, if he can work for you and if you like him, you have that backup running back for cheap for 4 years.
Or, hold on to a guy like Javon Leake. I'm not saying Javon, like, hold on to a guy, give him, a chance to be something. We see that all the time. We're not asking us to get our starter, from the 7th round or undrafted. Like I said, it just doesn't make sense to me when we're not looking to have a 2-back system. We're not. They're going to plan to use Saquon a lot, and they should plan to use Saquon a lot. I get he's coming off an injury, but it's just if we were at the end of free agency, Justin, and we happen to have, $8 million left of spending, we filled our backup QB need. We got, whatever players we wanted, and then they went and spent this on Davonte Booker. It would make a little more sense, but right now it's like listen, we got to, we don't get to keep this money. It's not going to roll over like it did last year. They didn't know at this time last year that it was going to roll over.
It's just a bad look.
Like you could have got Devontae. What did Devontae Booker do to go from a 910,000 player to possibly a $3 million player?
And what is he going to provide on the Giants where he can realistically, besides Saquon Barkley getting hurt, what can he realistically do as a backup running back where he would be worth a possible $3 million cap hit?
And it's not like if Saquon does get hurt, it's like, well, we're still in good hands. We got Devontae Booker. Like this, it's now I like Booker, and I think he's actually better suited for the role behind Saquon better than Wayne Gallman or behind Saquon Barkley. But yeah, it's just, listen, I mean, it's not, I don't know how make or break this contract is for anything else. But it's just, it doesn't make sense for this to happen on day one. Because you could have gotten somebody like Booker later on. So it could have got something like Booker later on. It's not like Booker is averaging like 7 yards per carry as a scat back. He's a solid guy who has, good balance and gets upfield. So, and
I think
hopefully it ends up being a $1 million deal and Saquon Barkley plays a ton.
Hopefully.
I mean, that's the hope regardless.
Yeah. And I think we need to quit it with the expectation of, and I know I'm not seeing this a lot, but just trying to think of, we had this expectation with Dion Lewis that, maybe the Giants are going to use him and Saquon in 2 running back sets, and they're going to motion Dion Lewis out as a wide receiver, or they're going to motion Saquon Barkley out as a wide receiver. And then we can have Booker and Lewis and Barkley on the field at the same time. It's, we could come up with these theories, and we can come up with these creative things that they can possibly do with these players over the offseason. But they're not going to do it. So it's not like they signed this guy and they have extra plans for him. I highly doubt that.
No, I agree. All right, let's talk about him as the player. Let's talk about him as a player, because that's where we can be a little more positive. In 2020, he had 93 carries, 423 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4.5 yards per carry, 17 catches, 84 yards. So those are good numbers. 2019 did not play a lot for Denver. Obviously this previous year he's with the Raiders. Before that was with Denver. He only had 2 carries. Year before that, he had 34 carries, 183 yards, 1 touchdown, 5.4 yards per carry, 38 catches, 275 yards. Those are good backup running back numbers. So, he will be a good backup. At least he has been in the role that he has been with Denver and the Raiders when he's had that chance. And I watched film of him. I probably went through like 50 carries of his. I went through his blocking, his receiving. He is very similar to Gallman, where he is, I'm going to find the hole and I'm going to get upfield. I'm going to get upfield and I'm going to get my yards. And sometimes with him, that leads to those big plays, those 15, 20 plus plays. And he gets those as the spellback, where Gallman didn't really get those as the spellback. So he's got good balance. He's not tackled easily. He knows when to, get into the hole and fall forward and get those extra 2-3 yards. Sometimes there is like, man, if you bounce this, there's an extra 15 yards out there, but it wasn't a ton of plays like that where it's like he was just leaving so many yards on the field. So Shifty, I do think he's better in this role than Wayne Gallman. Oh my gosh, Julius Randle just jumped up and double dribbled, went down by 3 with 3 seconds left. Go Nets. Sorry.
Cool.
I like Devontae Booker in this role, though.
Yeah, especially, I mean, let's just start off with the receiving game. Did you talk about that at all?
He had some decent numbers, but his receiving game wasn't blowing me away, really.
Well, let's just compare it to Gallman, right? Gallman, the receiving game was just non-existent.
Right.
It's somewhat existent here, where I don't know if I'm expecting the Giants to bring in, God willing, they're not bringing in another running back, which they're investing a ton in, right? So you would think the 1-2 punch is going to be the majority. It's going to be Barkley and Booker. So the reason why you feel better about a 1-2 punch of Booker-Barkley versus Gallman-Barkley, just looking at it from a player stance, not a contract stance. Looking at it from a player stance, Booker maybe is a little bit more of a versatile player in terms of passing, catching the ball, and also running the ball. But I do think Gallman is slightly a bit of a better runner than Booker, because Gallman, he faced an 8+ man box. I mean, I've talked about this a ton on this show. 40% of the time, Davonte Booker faced an 8+ man box 17% of the time. But still, the average yards per carry, it actually was a decimal point in favor of Wayne Gallman in 2020. The rushing yards over expected per attempt, Wayne Gallman actually had Devontae Booker beat by almost a quarter of a yard, which is significant. It's not like, a smaller amount, because again, rushing yards over expected, that metric is able to measure what is an individual running back expected to do on his own based off of all of the GPS tracking data that's around him, which still Devontae Booker. Breaking news.
Dalvin Tomlinson to the Vikings.
Oh, how ironic.
2 years, 22 mil.
Oh, that hurts.
20 million guaranteed.
Oh man.
16 million.
That's not a big number, right?
No. The Giants are going after Kenny Galladay. They have to be.
Restructure Leonard Williams. There's no.
Man, you lose another defensive tackle to the Vikings.
That's what I'm saying. How ironic.
Let's power through this running back stuff, because we're going to talk about Austin Johnson and we're going to talk about Dalvin anyway.
I'm still in the middle of a thought.
Yeah, let's power through this running back.
Still in the middle of a thought. So, basically, I think Wayne Gallman's a little bit of a better runner than Devontae Booker, but there's something that they do have very much in common. Bobby, you mentioned this with the eye test. Well, the analytics backs it up. Time behind the line of scrimmage. Wayne Gallman was third in the National Football League in the least amount of time spent behind the line of scrimmage. Devontae Booker was first. Like, there was nobody that spent the less time behind the line of scrimmage per carry than Devontae Booker at 2.5 seconds time behind the line of scrimmage per average. So
the Giants do use analytics. That seems like that's not a coincidence.
Well, I would like to think that they maybe have the philosophy of their backup running back of, when you're in the game, we want you to just get yards. We're not looking for you to get the big play. We just want you to get some yards. So that's my little take on Devontae Booker. The yards after contact numbers, when you compare it to Morris and Gallman, Booker had the least amount of yards after contact per attempt, but I'm not stressing that.
So Gallman this past year averaged, 4.6 yards per carry, while Booker averaged 4.5. Now, granted, you mentioned the 8-man box stuff. So there is a difference there. But here's something that's important to me, because Saquon is coming back, and this has always been my gripe with Wayne Gallman, is Wayne Gallman needs volume. He doesn't produce when he doesn't get volume. And so I looked at, Wayne Gallman's 2018 to 2019 numbers, where he was the backup to Saquon primarily. He had 80 carries for 286 yards, 3.57 yards per carry. That's not good. Those are bad numbers. Devontae Booker this past year, I all his games where he had 6 or more carries, Devontae Booker averages that 4.5 yards per carry. And the Devontae Booker, when he does have, if he does get called on and he has those 6 or more carries, his numbers are 53 carries, 272 yards, 5.1 yards per carry. So that is where I like Booker more than Gallman, is that Booker can do it when he's getting volume, and he can do it when he's just a spellback. When he's a spellback, he's getting those big plays, and when he's when he's getting 16 carries, he's able to, be consistent and at the end of the day, feel good about the production he gave you. And absolutely. I think that is the biggest difference between Booker and Gallman.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Blocking, pretty good blocker. I looked at games where he had pass blocking reps. One he had 5, one he had 4. I thought he looked good in those. Plays a little bit of special teams. We're not big special teams guys, but the Giants are. I still think Alfred Morris should come back though as the third running back. Alfred Morris was a good backup. He had 55 carries, 238 yards, 1 touchdown, 4.3 yards per carry. And Alfred Morris was fine as the backup running back.
Here's the thing. I mean, I feel like we just finished talking about, and this I guess bringing back Alfred Morris on the league minimum doesn't restrict the Giants from going out and getting they don't have a 7th round draft pick, a 6th round draft pick, or an undrafted free agent running back, and then having that guy beat out Alfred Morris. That doesn't prevent us from doing that. So sure, bring back Alfred Morris. I'd still like the Giants to go out and try and get some younger guy to hopefully be on the roster for
undrafted free agent or 6th round pick.
Because we only have 6 draft picks, I would prefer an undrafted free agent.
Yeah, but day 3 you go BPA.
Yeah,
you truly do go BPA deep. That's why when we were talking about Toilolo, it's like, why shoehorn the Giants into have to drafting a tight end on day 3?
Yeah.
So Devontae Booker, I think he'll do all right in this role. The money, it's a little confusing of why they're doing this right now when you see backup running backs all over the league getting, bare minimum scraps and doing pretty decent in their roles. So it doesn't make a ton of sense. All right, so you know what we're going to do, Justin?
What are we going to do?
There's free agency is madness for us. And March but we're going to talk about some real March madness. And March's biggest tournament is finally here. We do not know who will be cutting down the nets at the end, but we do know there will be no shortage of madness. Madness! DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is putting new customers in the center of action. Bet $4 on an underdog. What's an underdog we like? I think I'm going Ohio over Virginia. So bet $4 on an underdog, win $256 if they win. It's that simple, baby. Turn $4 into $256 to 1. It is 64 to 1 odds. How about that? 64 to 1 odds. That's you don't get that, like Kevin says, you always take those odds. Every dollar you bet could turn into $64. Pick one of many select college basketball underdogs for your shot at winning $256. All it takes is a $4 bet. You got $4 here, so that's less than a Little Caesars pizza. There's no better way to put your college basketball knowledge to the test than to put your money where your mouth is with DraftKings Sportsbook. Don't worry if college basketball isn't for you. DraftKings Sportsbook offers great odds and promotions on golf, hockey, and so much more. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code JOHNBOY when you sign up to turn $4 into $256 if the underdog of your choice pulls off the upset. That's code JOHNBOY to turn $4 into $256 for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or in Indiana 1-800-9 with it. Dalvin, it's been real. Why don't you give me your thoughts while I put together my Dalvin Tomlinson tweet?
It's ironic. Lost him to the Vikings. That's going to be a big talking point. That's going to have zero significance on the situation. Zero significance that he's going to the same team, but it's going to be a talking point. Dalvin Tomlinson, one of the best and most consistent Giants that we have had in a while. I feel like because I'm talking by myself right now, it's almost like he passed away. Now,
that was very sad the way you said that.
it was right. Well, you just kind of put it on me. So now
I'm listening to you.
You're good. Okay.
Well, how about I talk through this tweet? Love Dalvin Tomlinson, but the writing was on the wall when he wasn't extended pre-free agency.
Kind of frustrated he wasn't traded because we knew this was coming. We were more sure that he was not going to come back than was going to come back, especially with the cap. Could get a comp pick. No, I mean, he's not even getting paid as much as we thought.
They'll probably get a comp pick out of it, though.
What, a 5th rounder?
I don't know. I don't know how it all works. I mean, nobody technically knows how the comp picks work.
Yeah. We got a 3rd rounder for Landon Collins, who got paid a king's ransom, and he did play 16 games. So we know Dalvin Tomlinson's going to play 16 games. So just stinks.
This is such a lame tweet. But
it's also just another example of, the Giants are overpaying for backups when they're letting their good players walk out the door. Bobby, there's a chance that Leonard Williams could walk. Now, granted, that's an entirely different situation than Dalvin Tomlinson, but this is just another example of a good football player who just is not seeing a good portion of their second contract with the Giants. I hate to kind of tie it into the whole, Beckham had off the field issues. Collins had off the field issues. Those guys were, mental cases. Clearly, when they left the team, more things came out. But still, it's just like, oh, we love this player. We feel really good about this player. And then another example of no matter if they're good people, good teammates, bad teammates, we just can't seem to keep our good players. And it's frustrating. But we got to keep bum-ass Nate Solder. Sorry.
Well, we understand. We know why Nate Solder's.
I know, but I'm a fan and I'm frustrated.
I'm not like heartbroken about losing Dalvin. I'm not.
I'm not heartbroken, but still, especially Bobby. Can you read?
I made peace with this midseason.
Can you read the details of that contract again?
All right. You can hear a lot of clicking in the podcast, but
this is what hurts the most.
What hurts the most? Let's see details. The Packers tried to trade for Dalvin midseason. Now they'll see him twice a year.
Wonder if they tried to go after him. 2
years, $22 million, $20 million total guarantee, $16 million fully guaranteed, $15 million signing bonus, $16 million first year.
What was the first year cap hit?
16.
There's a lot of numbers just thrown at me. I heard 20 million fully guaranteed.
Just
so
look at Ian Rappaport's tweet.
Then I heard 20. I heard 22 million. So that's 11 and 11, but 16 million is this year.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, the first year cap hit is certainly more than we thought, but when you break it down to 2 years, 22 million, we were expecting him to, maybe get like 2 years. If you want to put it just on that 2 year scale, maybe 2 years, 28 million.
Yeah, they should have traded him.
Yeah.
I mean, we were 1-7 at the time of the trade deadline. And it would have been a good way to see how this D-line, how BJ Hill performs and how, Dex and Leo, perform without him. It would have been
Johnson, should you bring him back? Which we already did.
Yeah, they should have figured out a way to trade him. They should have traded him. Unless they're bringing back like a third round. I mean, we don't know what the Packers are offering, but unless I I would like to see what was offered from him by Ian Rappaport and not by Matt Miller saying that, the Giants were offered a first round pick for Landon Collins. Because Matt Miller's a liar.
Right. I wasn't, and when I brought up Landon Collins, I wasn't even bringing up the trading aspect. I was just talking about another good player. Like I feel Giants don't have good players coming in and out of their building every year, right? So when they lose a good player, it's kind of a big deal. It's frustrating, but at the same time, we very much expect the Dalvin Tomlinson to not be here. But when you look at the contract and you look at the breakdown of it, especially when we kind of got the reports and from our good friend Pat Regazzo that Dalvin Tomlinson would have loved to stay a Giant. It clearly just didn't work out between those two sides, and it worked out with another side.
Yeah. That being said, the Giants are prepared to move on from Dalvin.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Austin Johnson in a second. BJ Hill is ready for a role. Even RJ McIntosh. Like RJ McIntosh might be like the best, like fifth guy in the defensive tackle rotation that a team could get. Yeah. I know he didn't play at all this year. But I think there's a reason they kept all six all year, even though RJ wasn't active for one single time. So the Giants are in a good situation to move on.
Let's even look at it this way. What? Leonard Williams? Oh, this is going to be good on the fly knowledge, right? I believe Leonard Williams got some 70% of the snaps last year. That's my guess. And Leonard Williams throughout his career, I think has actually gotten up to in the 80s throughout his career with the Jets. So I have the page pulled up right now. Yes, 2020, 74% of the snaps. In 2018, 77%. The highest in his career was 2016. Ironically enough, does a star mean all pro or does a star mean Pro Bowl in Pro Football Reference? A star means crap. I think it means it means Pro Bowl. No, yeah, it means Pro Bowl. So his only Pro Bowl season, Leonard Williams, was 2016. That's when he received 87% of his snaps. Bobby, if the Giants are going to be paying Leonard Williams, especially if they can't rescind this franchise tag, if they can't work out some sort of extension with him, and they're going to be paying him the $21 million or $19 million, play him. Play him for 85% of the snaps, and then bump up Dexter Lawrence's snap share, which I think his snap share is at 60% Bump him up to 70%, and then have the rotation of other guys behind him.
And Dexter Lawrence is, he's already good, but I can see a nice year 3 jump for Dexter Lawrence. I mean, it was year 3 for Dalvin when he made his jump. BJ Hill has talent. I mean, every time their defensive tackles are out on the field, they play well. BJ Hill, when you watch him on film, he plays well. Austin Johnson, when you watch him on film, he plays well, besides Chicago. RJ McIntosh, when you watched him play in 2019 and 2018, he played well. So they were ready to move on from Dalvin. So that's why, when the Giants didn't extend Dalvin Tomlinson during season, before the season, right after the season, I think we always kind of knew that Dalvin wasn't going to be around.
Yeah. Typically Giants, they set the precedent that if you are an important player to them, they do not like to see you going on the last year of your contract, which is why the Leonard Williams situation is so messy.
Yep. So they brought back Austin Johnson on a 1-year, $3 million guaranteed. Now he does play the nose tackle. So, Dex, he'll get nose tackle reps, but he doesn't play nose tackle. Leonard obviously doesn't play nose tackle. BJ Hill doesn't. Austin does play the nose tackle, and I understand that he's going to be getting he's going to be a more important piece. But I also am like, why does Dalvin Tomlinson leaving earn Austin Johnson a 200% raise? Like, Austin Johnson didn't do anything in 2020 to earn a 200% raise.
No,
I get he's important and he'll have a good role, and they like what he did on film, but I just don't see. I didn't see any other teams going out and giving Austin Johnson a 200% raise. You remember, last year, we got him for the $1.5 million. He was a late signing. He, probably like almost a week into free agency. So it wasn't like teams were, nipping at the butt to get Austin Johnson last year.
No, and again, it's just overpaying for depth. Now, do they genuinely see Austin Johnson getting a significant snap share?
Then they should have done a 2-3 year deal like they did with Nick Gates if they see that coming forward, and being like, all right, well, we see a big thing coming for you. Let's lock you up for a couple more years.
Same thing with Devonte Booker. It's just confusing. Now, this is what the Giants have done since cutting Kevin Zeitler, right? This is what the Giants have done. They saved about maybe approximately $10 million. Approximately. I know the 51st guy on the roster, it screws things up and it doesn't actually maybe save. So approximately $10 million the Giants saved by cutting Kevin Zeitler. CJ Board, he gets the veteran minimum. Golly, I hope so, right? Golly, I hope the Giants give CJ Board the veteran minimum, okay? So maybe around $850,000. Rounded up to $1 million for shits and gigs. Austin Johnson gets $3 million. Devontae Booker maybe gets $3 million. I mean, that's 70% of your Kevin Zeitler was supposed to be the big cut this offseason. They're not cutting Nate Solder. So Kevin Zeitler was supposed to be the big cut this offseason, and you've basically have already wasted almost 70% of your cap savings from that one move in your first day of free agency. Two guys that you're bringing back who are depth pieces, and then the other guys at backup running back. It's just a bad look.
Yeah. I agree, man. I hate being like kind of frustrated with these smaller deals. Because it's like, you know what, they're gonna be able to do what they want to do. But you don't give Austin, say you don't give Austin Johnson $3 million. That's $3 million right there. Say you don't give Devontae Booker, $1.5 million. I guess that's it's depending on expected cap. That's $4.5 million right there. Now you're $6.5 million away from Dalvin Tomlinson.
Yeah.
I feel like that, like it would have been better off to take, get a nobody undrafted free agent, bring back freaking Javon Leak to be your backup running back, bring back Alfred Morris, and do what you can to figure out a way to bring Dalvin back. They're flexible. They can figure it out. I would have rather done that than all this.
Which isn't the Nate Solder restructure supposedly being projected around saving the Giants $6 million?
Yes.
So that's the difference right there. Like maybe not reinvesting in Austin Johnson, not investing in Devontae Booker, and then getting the Nate Solder restructure done. And then that's the salary for Dalvin Tomlinson, which we're not saying that, we're really crying that Dalvin Tomlinson's not back. No, like Bob said, we have been expecting this, but to just put it in perspective, the little things that the Giants could have not done, and then the one big thing that the Giants still have to do, which apparently is agreed in principle, and we're just waiting for it to be official. I don't know what's going on with Nate Solder. I don't know.
Well, you want to know what else is going on right now? Ryan Fitzpatrick to Washington. 1 year, $10 million. I could grow to $12 million with the incentives per source.
They're done. They're not doing anything else, right?
I don't know.
Cam is back in New England, right?
Yeah, which was surprising. I guess it's pretty incentive based too, but still.
They're spending like drunken sailors.
Hey, they had a lot of guys opt out last year. Go for it. You got all this cap space. Go for it.
That is a kind of a good spin, I will say. The Cowboys went into this free agency not already, like they said, we're not going to spend a lot. I actually thought they were going to get Dalvin Tomlinson. That would have been, I think, a really good fit. Unfortunately for us, but luckily it didn't happen. Washington, they actually lost a boundary corner. They just got Ryan Fitzpatrick, which I don't think puts any fear in anybody's hearts. And Philly's Philly. So looking across the NFC East, Giants necessarily haven't gotten worse. It's just that we haven't gotten better.
Yeah, we're going to get Kenny Golladay, so it's all good.
Tomorrow. Exciting pod tomorrow.
I know. I can't wait till we get Kenny Golladay. All right, Justin, we're going to talk about the Leonard Williams rescind, but I just feel like that's beating a dead horse at this point, and I just don't think it's going to happen. The market's been set with pass rushers with Carl Lawson, Hendrickson, Shaq Barrett, Yannick, where you think that maybe they might be able to force Leonard Williams' hand, but I just don't see them rescinding that tag.
Do you see them trying to? I mean, they're going to try to work out an extension. Are you rooting for an extension with the lower cap hit this year? Yes, right? Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. That's the goal.
All right, cool. Same here.
But he's not gonna sign for less than what the franchise tag is.
Tough.
Like his average annual value is not gonna be less than the franchise tag.
Well,
and that's the argument for rescinding the tag. Is if you rescind the tag, you could possibly get him at lower than that.
Which I don't think they will.
The threat is the Jaguars.
Correct. And so here we go. Another year
where Gettleman is not going to lose Leonard Williams and Dalvin Tomlinson.
No, and another year where Leonard Williams can bet on himself, and because they lost Dalvin Tomlinson, like I said, there is a good chance where Leonard Williams' snap count can go up, and when you're on the field more, it means more opportunities for tackles, more opportunities for sacks, more opportunities for QB hits, more opportunities for tackles for loss.
Woo! All right, let's call it an episode, Justin.
Let's call it. Call it 11-10.
We appreciate you guys. We'll be back whenever the Giants. We'll probably be back for an episode tomorrow. I mean, let's just be real. We'll probably be back for an episode tomorrow. Hopefully, it's a Kenny Galladay celebration. So a very uneventful day one for the New York Giants. A very uneventful day one for the New York Giants. We'll see what happens, man. A lot to be done for the Giants. A lot to be done. I think we have only seen the beginning of what the moves these Giants are going to do. I don't think they let Dalvin Tomlinson walk if they didn't have bigger plans with a wide receiver. They promised they were going to get weapons. I think we're going to see something big, and maybe you've already seen it by the time you're listening to this portion of the episode. All right, we appreciate you guys. We'll be back. Until then. Let's go Big Blue.